y'all, and welcome to today's video. This is going to be a follow-up for all the palettes that I've been testing and trying. It's going to be speed review videos. I'm going to be sharing my final thoughts on a bunch of new palettes I've been testing. I'm excited. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to try to do this quickly because that's the speed part of speed reviews. So let's jump into it. Getting started, I have palettes here in front of me. I have done videos with all of these palettes. If you want to see close-up swatches, tutorials, it's here on my channel. Some of these palettes I have multiple looks with. If I have any affiliate codes, I will pop them on the screen for y'all. I will link everything I talk about down in the description box. Some of those may be affiliated links. Just listen, if you want more info, it's probably in the description box. Ask me in the comments. Let's start off by talking about the Too Faced Cosmic Crush palette. So I bought the Too Faced Italian Spritz palette earlier this year when it launched, and I thought it was a good palette. Now let me just go ahead and say, I love indie eyeshadow palettes. That's mostly what we're going to talk about today. Indie brand meaning independently owned, not always a small brand, but a lot of times they are smaller brands than like Too Faced, who is owned by a huge parent company. You know, they're sold in like so many major retailers. I love indie makeup. I think other like big brands, they just can't hold a candle to indie makeup. But I like to test and try all types of makeup, luxury, drugstore, high-end, indie, because I want to give you reviews on what's out there if you're interested. And I know that Too Faced is a brand that has sales. They are at Ulta, they're at Sephora. It can be a lot easier to get your hand on Too Faced. So when I saw they were releasing this palette and they had this fun theme, Cosmic Crush, I was like, let me see that palette. And then the inside color story, I felt like we had some pretty interesting tones as well. Now, yes, we have a lot of light neutrals. Too Faced loves their light neutral shades, but overall, I felt like this was a really good palette. I didn't have any issues. The only shade that I felt like was not on par with the other shades really is this one right down here. This one is called, not this one, Frost in Space. It's quite hard pressed, so I really have to use a brush that's a little more stiff with the bristles and kind of like run my brush in it like this to get the pigment to come off, just because it's hard pressed. It's not unusable, but it's not as nice as the other shades. Now, if this were me and Too Faced said, Heather, help us make this palette better, what would you like? I would probably take out one of these shades that are a little too close in tone, and I would swap that out for maybe a navy or a deep dark plum matte. I think that would have made this palette more versatile for me, so I could do more neutral and colorful looks. But overall, I like the looks I created with this palette. I think this shade is really, really beautiful, and I think Too Faced, you know, they're stepping it up a bit. They're at least not just doing solid neutral palettes, although I love a good neutral palette, just not all the time. I like that they're starting to sprinkle in some more color, and this palette makes me hopeful for the future. But this one I would say is not great, but it is a good palette. Let's talk about the palette I am wearing today. That is the BellaBeauteBar, the Sun and the Sea palette. Now, I did do a video, 3 looks with this palette, and this is a beautiful palette. This is a remastered version of a palette they already had like this, but they redid it. They added multi-chromes, they added their new matte formula, and I have worn this palette every time I've created a beautiful look. I would definitely say this palette falls into the amazing category. We have beautiful multi-chromes. I really like that we have these warm neutrals paired with the blues, because brown and blue they always look amazing together. That's why you see so many neutral palettes from mainstream brands with one blue shade, you know, neutral with the pop of blue, because they do look and work so well together. But of course we have our neutrals up here, then we have some kind of purpley bronzy red tones, and we have some blue shades down here. Really, really beautiful palette. Every shade in here I think is beautiful. I like that we have plenty of mattes, and we also have different formulas with duochromes, shimmers, and multi-chromes. Just really beautiful. I like the big mirror in here. Definitely an amazing palette. Like, BellaBeauteBar, they're one of those brands that is just getting better and better and better, and I love it. I know so many of y'all were like, I want to try Pastel Garden, I want to try Smoky Glam, but I don't want that large palette. So I was happy to see that they came out with something a little bit smaller. Okay, also from BellaBeauteBar is the Best Mattes palette. Now this is a collaboration between Ellie Starr and Brittany Huffman. I am so happy to see creators collabing with their favorite brands. Seeing creators get the opportunity to express their love for makeup through collaborations. I just love it, and it's something that I'm always going to be here for, and like I'm always going to be here for it. So this palette, I will just say, if it was terrible, if I hated it, I wouldn't speak about it. I wouldn't speak about it, because even though like I've never met these two personally, I would never want to like just drag them down, you know, and be like, oh, I hate their palette. This palette though, a favorite, like a favorite, and it's the Best Mattes palette. Get it? Like best friends, best mattes. And if you know me, I am a shimmer type of girl. I love a multi-chrome. I love a duochrome. I love a shift. I love a sparkle. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm like a little raccoon. You cannot keep me away from shiny things. So the fact that I call an all matte palette a favorite, I think that speaks volumes. The formula in here is beyond beautiful. Like, Brittany Huffman, Ellie Starr, BellaBeauteBar, y'all should be so incredibly proud, because this, you knocked it out of the park. I have loved playing with this. Now, I did a video, I think 4 looks with this palette, and I pulled in some of my fun like all shimmer palettes. I pulled in, I think, some loose pigments. I have so enjoyed playing with this palette. It took me a long time to get my final thoughts, because I wanted to use every single shade on my eyes. I wanted to have my full review. I wanted to be able to tell you if, you know, there was a shade that was a dud or something like that, but no. Fantastic. And this palette is magnetic. You heard that right. It is magnetic. You can move the pans around. I've seen so many people on Instagram like customizing this palette, like taking it out, rearranging the shades how they want, mixing it with shimmer shades, and I kept my palette the way it is because I just want their vision to be like the palette, you know. But this is beautiful. The neons are pigmented. They're easy to work with. I'm so impressed. Now, like I said, I may have some affiliated codes with these brands, but a lot of times on collaborations, codes do not work. So just FYI, you can try a code on collab palettes, but a lot of times they just don't work, or sometimes they're not affiliated codes, so you will get a discount, but you don't have to worry about, you know, the creator getting a kickback, because if it's just a discount code, non-affiliated, we don't earn anything from that. So just FYI, if you try a code on a collab palette and it doesn't work, that's not super unusual. Let's go ahead and talk about another collab palette. This is the Crystal Skies palette from Ensley Rain Cosmetics. It is a collab with Shifty Shadow. I always get like the words stuck in my mouth trying to say Shifty Shadow. I love it. This is beautiful. I first tried Ensley Rain. I bought their collaboration with Brittany Huffman last year, and I really liked it. I thought it was such a beautiful palette. I thought the whole collection was nice. I really enjoyed it, and I kind of had my eye out on this brand because I'm like, I want to try something else from them. So when they showed their Crystal Skies collection, I was like, I gotta have that. But they actually sent me this full collection. I do have a video up, 2 looks with this beautiful palette. And this is a beautiful pastel mid-tone palette. You have beautiful matte shades. You can move these pans around if you like. And then you have these hand-pressed shadows up here. I forget what all they are called from Ensley Rain, but you've got multi-chrome, duochrome, shimmer, like this almost like hollow chrome type of shadow. Really beautiful. I think Ensley Rain and Shifty Shadow did a great job on this palette. The mattes are so pretty. They're pigmented and easy to blend. The shimmers are like out of this world. This packaging, so beautiful. Again, if I didn't like this palette, I would have never made a video on it. Like, I would have tried it for the video. I'd been like, nope, nope, nope. Not talking about this palette. Not gonna bash this creator. But this, phenomenal. They really, really did a great job. Like, it makes me happy to see creators collabing with brands they love. But not only that, when they're like killing it and it's an amazing product, that just makes me even happier because I'm like, yes, like you really did it so good. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Glamlite Scooby-Doo. So this palette, I waited so long for this one, which is fine. When I ordered it, I knew like that it was gonna ship, I think at the end of June, which is exactly what happened. It ended up shipping a little bit before the end of the month. So I was super happy about that. And I wanted this because I loved their first collaboration with Scooby-Doo so much. Like, I love the 2 smaller palettes. Amazing quality, and I have to say I really like this one as well. We have this nice big mirror. This is a larger palette, and personal preference, I would have liked for there to be like less dead space in this palette. I feel like it could have been a little more compact, you know, but also for the theming, for the like full Scooby-Doo fantasy, I get that it's spread out because you have the characters like represented and you wouldn't necessarily be able to fit them in here that way if you lost the space. So, you know, like, I get it. It's large, but I get it. I think every shadow I've used in here, and I've used them all, that's how I follow up after I've used all the shades. Really beautiful. I haven't had a hard time with any of these shadows at all. I do wish that this palette had one more like really light shimmer shade. This one looks light, but it does pull a little deeper when it's applied. So if I could make any change, it would just be to add maybe like one light shimmer. But overall, I really like this. I mean, a lot of that is just personal preference, but I do find myself when I use this reaching for my face highlight for my inner corner just to add something a little more contrasty. But Glamlite's formula, like, it doesn't miss, you know, like they're putting out a lot of products, but really great products. Also with Glamlite, the Rick and Morty palette. I love this even more than I thought I would. So this is a large palette, but this one is more compact in the way the shades are together. Like, there's not as much empty space, you know? We still have the cool theming. Full disclosure, I've never seen this show before. I have no idea about it. I think it's about a kid and a scientist. I don't know. So forgive me, I cannot speak to the color story in terms of if it fits with the show or a movie. Show, I think. I think y'all told me it's a show. Anyways, this palette, it surprised me because there are some really vibrant shades in here that I don't know, I just didn't expect when I saw the full palette together. My eyes were kind of going to the dark shades because I love dark shades. I love drama. We've got really nice like depth in here. But these shades are so bright and vibrant, and the way they blend and look is so beautiful. Like, it's so good. Like, it's really good. I would put this in like the favorite category. And something I like, really light, bright shimmer shade here. I really like that. This shade is really light too, but this one's super light. I love that. And we have dark shimmers too. Like, I just really enjoy this. Even more, like, I just really like Glam Light. You know, I really like Glam Light. They sent me this palette. I purchased this palette myself. So when Glam Light comes out with something, I'm like, yeah, I want to buy it because I know I love their formulas. So I definitely would have purchased this palette, but I'm just so pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I like it, and I like the color story even more than I thought. Like, it's amazing. Martine Cosmetics Neon Nitro Speed. So Martine Cosmetics did send me this palette. I will say in my videos where I use the palettes, I'll let you know if it was sent to me, if it was purchased by me, all of that. Definitely watch my videos if you want more information. But Neon Nitro Speed from Martine, look at that cool, like, hollow packaging. We love it. This is a thick palette. I straight off will tell you, I wish it was in their slimmer packaging like they did for the Moolah collection, but the shades inside, we love to see it. We love a bright palette for summertime. Yes, we do. We love it. I really had a good time. I think I did 3 looks in my video with this palette, and I love that we have so many bright, vibrant shades. We have a white, so we can mix that matte white with these other matte shades if you want to lighten them up. But we also have this, like, almost like, it's not a satin, but it's not a matte, that you can use to deepen up or put down first and go over top with the other mattes. It's really nice. I think the white and the black give the palette a lot of versatility, and I like that. Now, Martine Cosmetics is an independently owned brand, and I think they do a beautiful job. They're available at Beauty Bay, so I will link it there down below. I think that's so nice and convenient to be able to shop an independently owned brand from a big retailer like Beauty Bay. I love that we have these light tones. I love that we have these bright, vibrant tones. Just really, really fun. And Martine Cosmetics does a really pretty shimmer formula. It's not these overly sparkly, shifty shades like what I have on my eyes today. It's a very smooth shimmer, and there are some duochromes in here that do have a little more sparkle, but I would say Martine Cosmetics makes a shimmer formula that's very flattering. If you have texture on your lids that maybe you don't want to emphasize, maybe you feel like certain shadows call attention to your texture, and you want something that's going to be beautiful, you want something that's going to be these fun colors, these fun shades in a nice smooth formula, I recommend Martine Cosmetics because they do that so well, and I just think their shadows are always very flattering on the skin. Fantasy Cosmetica Fighter Palette. They are another brand that keep getting better and better and better. They released this Cool Tones palette. I think this is such a great addition to their line. Now, I love that we had 4 matte shades, that we had some mid-tone mattes and some deeper mattes. I love that we have that pop of yellow up there and a cool tone brown. I think that was a nice addition. We do have a multi-chrome and some really sparkly shades, and this is in the great, I said good, but I meant great, Fantasy Cosmetica formula, because I do think that they have improved. They were good before. I really liked them, but I feel like they're taking it to the next level, which is what we love to see. We love to see it from brands. I like, too, that we definitely have the grays. I feel like cool tones, they're having a moment in makeup right now. People are loving the more ashy tones. Not ashy as in dry. I meant like ashy as in grays. and ashy does not sound good, but that's what I meant, smoky. And we also have like the yellow. We have a little bronze over here. These are definitely not warm tones, but very pretty, and it's a nice contrast to these shades over here. So I do have a video with this palette, and then I also have it in another video. I did a 3 looks video with this palette, the Scooby-Doo palette, and another one that I'm still in the process of reviewing. Favorite Blend Bunny Grunge, Sugar and Grunge palette. Blend Bunny, another brand that doesn't miss. They are such an amazing brand. This is a favorite eyeshadow formula for me. You get this huge mirror. I can't remember if I did 3 or 4 looks here on my channel with this palette, but I love that we have a little bit of like chaotic, rebellious energy with this palette. Normally Blend Bunny does like a top row of shimmers, and it's all like these monochromatic rows, and I love that Blend Bunny stepped out of the box and they were like, no, this is Sugar and Grunge. I'm going for a little rebellion. I'm gonna do monochromatic mattes, and I'm gonna mix up the shimmers, and they're gonna be on the bottom. I just think that's fun. I love that. I like when a brand mixes it up, because you never want to be boring. You know, you never want to do the same thing over and over and over and over again. So I love this palette when I saw it, and then when I used it, I was like, yep, the amazing Blend Bunny formula that I know and love. I love that we have our pastels, our midtones, our deep dark shades. Now, if you're looking at these dark shades in the pan, you may think, those are really dark, I can't see the difference. They're different. And I love that for Blend Bunny. I feel like Blend Bunny is coming for the makeup lover. They're giving us different tones. They're giving us these different textures. And if you are not super creative or confident in your creativity when it comes to looks, they lay the palette out in a way where you can just stick to the columns, create something beautiful. So I feel like Blend Bunny is really a brand that is just coming for the makeup lover enthusiast, and coming for, you know, your average casual makeup wearer who just wants to stick to the columns and do a beautiful look. They're killing it, amazing quality. I'm always excited when I see that Blend Bunny is coming out with something, because they're that good. Last but not least, I wanted to follow up on the Beauty Creations Louie Castro collaboration palette. Again, huge congratulations to both. I know that is such a big deal to get to collaborate with your favorite brand. Now, this palette I think is nice. I enjoyed the looks I created with it. I don't think that any of the shades were hard to use. I like that we have purples and neutrals and pinks. This palette is going to give you some really pretty smooth shimmers. The mattes are going to be easy to build up. You do have to build them up a bit, which I know a lot of people prefer. They don't want a matte that's pigmented straight off the bat like I do. I love that to then blend, but these are very easy to layer. I haven't had an issue with any of the shades. I find them to be very easy to use, whether you want to work dark to light or light to dark, because you do have so many like similar tones, you know, like these 3 shades are all kind of in the same color family, so they're going to work well together. These shades in the same color family, so they're going to work together. So overall, I think this is a good palette. I know a lot of y'all said that Beauty Creations is really easy to get your hands on. It's definitely a more like drugstore priced brand, so I am glad that I got to try it out. This pink shade is really, really pretty. I will say that. That's probably one of the standout shades for me. There is a pressed glitter in here, so I do like to point that out in case this isn't your cup of tea. But I will say too, I haven't tried any like terribly bad palettes, or any palettes that I'm just like, this is bad, I want to trash it. And I think that really speaks to how the quality of makeup is improving, especially when it comes to eyeshadows. So that makes me happy. I'm excited to see what else is going to launch this year. I hope you enjoyed this speed review. I had fun, of course. Let me tell you what is on the rest of me. I told you my eyeshadow palette. Now, let me just say, just so I don't give anything away, if you do not want Unearthly Cosmetics Summer 23 Mystery Box spoilers, now is your time to click off. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. Now, let me tell you what I have on. I am wearing my Juvia's Place Bronzed Duo. I am wearing my Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duo in She's Giving. I am wearing the Unearthly Cosmetics Spaced Out Highlighter from their mystery box. I'm wearing actually a little bit of both shades for my glow today. And then my lip is Lawless Forget the Filler Lip Definer Creamy Smooth Glide Ultra Pigmented Lip Liner in Desert Mauve. And the Forget the Filler lipstick, this is in the shade Platinum. So thank you for watching. I'll definitely have more speed reviews coming. I have palettes that I'm currently testing, trying to review. So make sure to subscribe, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye!